Hello YouTube and welcome to your 6th PHP video tutorial. It is 6:33 a.m. and I've decided to do this now because I cannot sleep that well, so screw it. In this tutorial we're going to be going over the if and the else statement. All I want you guys to know is I use the brackets all the time. I don't like not using the brackets for the if and else, and you will know what I mean once we get started. And how about we get started? Okay, so the if and else statement works like this. If the condition is true, brackets, then we want to execute this code. Else, or if condition is false, brackets, execute this code. So let's see the real code, and then we'll explain how everything works. So I'm going to give you an example of a real if and else statement, and then I'll explain how everything works. We're going to go over a couple examples in this tutorial just so that you can familiarize yourself with this condition. So let's start. Let's make a variable. And in this variable, we're going to have the number... Hold on, there's something on my keyboard. Sorry about that. We're going to have the number 10. Now, we want to check if 10 is inside of this variable. So let's do that. So to start an if statement, you simply start with if, and you have two parentheses. You just have parentheses. Now, after the parentheses, you're going to have a bracket, and you're going to end the bracket. Now, in the parentheses is where you're going to have your condition. So in the parentheses is where you're going to do your actual logic. So we're going to say if variable, and now we learn a brand new operator, which is equal to. Now, is equal to is different from the assignment operator. And what is equal to is two equal signs. I will make an annotation explaining what is equal to is instead of and I will use annotations in my upcoming videos as well, just so to make it a little bit easier, you guys, and just to verify some of the stuff that I'm saying. Now, is equal to is the two equal signs. So what this is saying, if this variable is equal to 10, then we want to do the code that is inside. Now we want to execute the code inside of these brackets. Now, what are these brackets? Well, these brackets are basically the world. These brackets are the world, right? And the world for this specific conditional, so this specific if statement, has its own world. If I were to execute code outside of these brackets, then I would be in a new world. So if I were to say if variable is equal to 10 and I echoed high outside of these brackets, it would not do anything. It would not be for that if statement. If I were to echo high within these brackets, then I'm inside this if's world. I am actually doing code inside of this if. This is what these brackets are for. It lets you know that you're doing code inside of this if statement. You're doing code that corresponds with this specific if statement, and that's what these brackets for. Now, there's a lot of conventions or ways to structure your code. You can do your code like this, which is how I started, but I went back to the more common way, which is like this. And you would put your else like this, and your code would be structured like this. But it depends on how you personally. So now we're going to go ahead and see what this code looks like. So let's save it, and let me go here, and here's our 6.php, and we refresh it and we get high. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add another statement. We're going to add else. So let's go over that. Else. Now, For else, you do not need a conditional parentheses box because you're not doing another condition for else. You're saying if the variable is equal to 10, echo high. Else means if the variable is not equal to 10. There's no specific condition you're doing. You're not saying if the variable is equal to 11. You're just saying if it's not equal to 10 in this specific condition. So we're going to go else, and we're just going to go ahead and open the bracket, and we're just going to go ahead and go echo, we'll say bye. So let's save this, and then let's open this, and we're still going to get high because the condition is true. Now let's go ahead and change this. Sorry, I'm a little sick. Now this is 11, so what are we going to get? You're right. If you said bye, you're right. We're going to get bye. Now, that is how the if and the else statement works. Now, there's one thing I do want to go over, and that's checking if something is set, or checking if something is just set. Like if you want to check that a variable is set. I do want to go over that. If we have enough time, I will go over if else, but I do not know if we will, so let's just go over the next one. Now, this is checking if something is set or if something is true. So what we have is we have a variable, and it's set to 11, right? So let's go ahead and delete this. And we're going to say if variable is equal to true, echo high. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and try this really quick so you can get an understanding of what's going on. Now, we get high. Now, what does this true mean? Well, all this true means is if the variable is set, if there is something inside of this variable. Now, writing is equal to true. That's not hard to do, but there's also an easier way to do this. Well, what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and get rid of the condition altogether. And now the condition says if variable. Now what this does is it's the same thing as we just wrote. It checks if the variable is true. And this is what you'll see a lot. You'll see programmers having if and then just the variable and in a statement or a command after it. And what it's saying is if the variable is true. And that's what I wanted to go over. And you can also do is false, which means if the variable is not set, then echo high. But the variable is set, so we get absolutely nothing because we're not specifying an else. Now, that we got that out of the way, I want to go into the is not equal, which is the same as is equal. So we're going to go back to, we're going to hit Control Z until we go back to our statement. Okay, and now we have our is equal to, which is 2 equals. And now we're going to go over is not equal, which is simply excitement mark and an equals. Now I'm going to make annotation so you can see this clearer. And we're going to go ahead and do this in the browser. Now, as you can see, instead of getting by this time, we actually got high. And the reason for getting high is because we're checking if the variable is not equal to 10. So the variable can be any other number than 10, and we will echo high. But if it happens to be 10, we will echo bye. For example, let's change this again. And let's refresh the page, and we get bye. So as you can see, there are 2 new operators we learned. Equals equals, which is equal to, and we learned excitement mark equals, which is not equal to. Now, there is one more I want to go over, and it's simply an excitement mark, just like we saw for, you can check if a variable is set just by having the variable name. You can also check if a variable is not set just by having a excitement mark behind the variable. So you're probably wondering how this works. So what we're going to do is we're going to refresh it, and we get bye. And what is it saying? If the variable is not set, echo high. But if the variable does have something in it, then echo bye. Or if the variable exists, If the variable actually exists, you could also say like that. So, actually, I think that, let's do an experiment. Nope. So, we got high because the variable is not in existence. We also got an error, though, saying that it's an undefined variable. Well, we got a notice, not really an error. And as you can see, we get high. So, let me see how much time we have. Actually, it's been 10 minutes, guys. In the next tutorial, we'll be going over the if-else statement, if-else-if. So, you have more control and more logic to do. And, well, I guess this has been your 6th PHP video tutorial. This is DontRTFM, YouTube.com. Please comment, rate, and subscribe. It helps me out a lot, more than you know. See you guys in the next PHP tutorial video. Thank you.